I'm standing here at Alexander's Bridge on the Chickamauga battlefield. On September 18, 1863, this quiet crossing over Chickamauga Creek became the scene of desperate fighting as Wilder's Lightning Brigade clashed with Confederate forces trying to cross. This was the first test of Wilder's mounted infantry during the battle, and it set the stage for their hard-hitting role over the next 2 days. Today we'll follow their trail from this bridge to the fields and ridges where they earned their reputation as one of the Union Army's most effective fighting forces. In early September 1863, Union General William S. Rosecrans launched a bold campaign into North Georgia. His Army of the Cumberland forced Confederate General Braxton Bragg to abandon Chattanooga without a fight on September 9th. Bragg, however, was not finished. Falling back into the rugged hills of northwest Georgia, he sought reinforcements from Longstreet's corps in Virginia and looked for an opportunity to strike the scattered Union columns. Between September 10th and 17th, both armies maneuvered aggressively through the mountains and valleys south of Chattanooga. Skirmishes erupted at Davis's Crossroads, Lee's Tanyard, and along the Chickamauga Creek as Bragg tried to trap isolated Federal divisions. In the evening of September 17th, the armies were converging on the fields and forest around West Chickamauga Creek, setting the stage for one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. On the morning of September 18th, Wilder's men were idle here at Alexander's Bridge, but things quickly changed. Foragers from the brigade had crossed Chickamauga Creek only to stumble into Confederate cavalry. Chased back in a hurry, some were forced to leap into the creek to escape. Company A of the 72nd Indiana ripped up bridge planks and stacked them in a makeshift barricade, a lunette, in the middle of the road. Before long, Walthall's Mississippi Brigade slammed into Wilder's position. The fighting around this bridge was intense. The Mississippians attacked with determination, but Wilder's men had a deadly advantage: the new Spencer repeating rifles. 7 shots to a soldier's 1. The firepower was overwhelming, and Walthall's men took heavy punishment. Still, when Minty's cavalry was pushed back at Reed's Bridge, Wilder's flank was exposed, and he had to pull back. In the chaos, Sergeant Joseph Higginbotham was hit 5 times while trying to escape the lunette. Somehow he survived. Private George Bailey, only 17 years old, was one of the last 2 men of Company A to hold the barricade. He shot one Confederate, then another, before leaping onto a horse behind Sergeant Samuel Stewart. Bailey survived that day, but was later captured in Mississippi and died at Andersonville Prison on August 8, 1864. I'm now at the site of the Alexander House where Captain Eli Lilly's 18th Indiana Battery went into position. Yep, the same Eli Lilly who would later found the pharmaceutical company in the 1870s. Back in 1863, he commanded a battery of artillery. At the time of the battle, these woods weren't here. Lilly's guns had a wide-open field of fire, making this a strong defensive position along the Alexander Vineyard Road. During the fight, Confederate artillery zeroed in on Lilly's position. One shell landed in front of his section, ricocheted off the house, and rolled back, its fuse still burning right in front of the guns. Private Sidney Sneed didn't hesitate. He grabbed the smoking shell and hurled it over the house, where it exploded harmlessly behind the lines. Thanks to quick thinking, the battery kept firing without losing a man. But the fight was shifting. As Confederate pressure built, Wilder pulled his brigade further down the Alexander Vineyard Road, setting up the next phase of the battle. I'm now standing at Vineyard Field. On September 19th, this open ground became one of the bloodiest places on the Chickamauga battlefield. Wilder's Lightning Brigade was ordered here as Confederate attacks surged against Union lines. His mounted infantry, armed with Spencer repeaters, dismounted along the edges of the field and poured devastating fire into the advancing Confederate brigades. Wave after wave of Confederates crossed this ground only to be cut down. Wilder's men fought alongside Lilly's battery, their Spencers spitting out a constant stream of lead. One Confederate officer later wrote that it seemed like every tree and fence post was spitting fire. Wilder's position here was critical. His brigade helped seal this part of the line during repeated assaults throughout the afternoon. During the fight, 2 guns of Lilly's 18th Indiana Battery were pushed right up to the edge of a ditch where Confederate troops from Benning's brigade had taken shelter. At point-blank range, the Hoosiers raked the ditch with canister and shot. The slaughter was terrible. Wilder later remarked, "It seemed a pity to kill men so." It was a grim reminder of the overwhelming firepower his brigade would unleash when pressed. On September 20th, disaster struck the Union Army. A gap opened in the center of the line and Confederate troops poured through. General Rosecrans and McCook left the field for Chattanooga and much of the Union right collapsed in panic. Wilder's men were here on this ground when the breakthrough happened. Instead of running, Wilder struck back. His brigade charged into Brigadier General Arthur Manigault's Alabamians and South Carolinians, driving them back across the Lafayette Road. The Lightning Brigade's firepower and determination bought precious time in the chaos of the collapsing Union line. As the fight unfolded, Charles Dana, the Assistant Secretary of War, suddenly appeared. He ordered Wilder to escort him safely to Chattanooga. Wilder hesitated. Dana didn't actually have the authority to command him, but in the moment it added to the confusion about what his brigade should do next. Wilder faced 2 choices: fight his way north to support General Thomas on Snodgrass Hill, or leave the battlefield entirely. He chose to withdraw, covering the Army's rear as it fell back towards Chattanooga. While Wilder's men left the field, George Thomas stood his ground for several more hours at Snodgrass Hill before finally retreating under cover of darkness. Today, standing at the Wilder Brigade Monument, it's easy to imagine the chaos of that September day. From Alexander's Bridge to Vineyard Field and here, the Lightning Brigade fought with unmatched skill and courage, slowing the Confederate advance and protecting the Union retreat. Their story still echoes across this battlefield. If you enjoyed this look at their fight, be sure to like, subscribe, and join me for more Explore the Civil War.